Hey everybody, I'm Sean McAnally.
John Hall.
Hey, today we're going to talk about something pretty interesting, something that we probably don't always think about, but the microbiome that lives on our skin and how it helps protect our skin and how it helps us to stay healthy. In other words, Dr. Hall has been doing some studying on this, and there's a lot of cool research out there, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah, there is, and I really have just gotten started looking at it, but it's really fascinating.
So
stuff.
this is the early part one episode of this. When we learn more, we'll have part two.
Yeah, I'll make some corrections probably.
Right. Yeah.
But anyway, well, the skin health is skin's the largest organ of the body.
Mm-hmm.
It's our first barrier against the environment,
Mm-hmm.
and a huge part of that is the microbiome. And it's huge. The microbial population of the skin is huge. It's not like the gut, but because it doesn't have the moist environment and the food coming in all the time, it's kind of dry.
Well, hey, now speak for yourself.
Yeah,
huh?
you know.
I'm pretty moisturized.
Sometimes we will take a shower and all that and wash some of it off. But anyway,
I get it.
but it's still really huge, and it serves a purpose. And well, they're good and they're bad. And I'm getting to the point where I think I mentioned this before. I'm not sure that we should really even say bad. I think because they can change. You can have, I was just reading, they can be influenced by certain bacterial species can be influenced, and they can be Staph aureus. It can be virulent. We think of Staph aureus generally as bad because it can cause lots of problems and things. But it can be not. It can turn into non-virulent and do some good stuff. I've just about decided that what we call bad is just there's an there needs to be a ratio, the proper ratio.
Negative
if you
effect.
get too much of a certain one, it can be a problem.
Real quick, that word you used, Staph aureus or whatever, can be bad. And what do you normally see when that's?
Well, I mean, Staph aureus is Staphylococcus aureus.
Uh-huh.
You can see that it's when you have boils, when you have
Okay.
skin infections, and also it can cause blood. Get into the bloodstream, and then you've got a real serious problem.
Okay.
So I mean,
okay.
it's
That's
generally,
sepsis
and you talk about methicillin resistance. So MRSA is one of the things they worry about because it just the antibiotics don't work very
Some
well.
people do that as a word, MRSA.
MRSA, yeah.
Right.
So Staph aureus. So that's two words actually, Staphylococcus aureus. But and it's aureus because when you plate it out, the colonies are kind of gold looking on certain of the agar, the growth media. So anyway, that's the reason they call it Staph aureus. It's kind of gold looking colonies. But anyway, they're staph, and we generally think of Staph aureus as bad, but it isn't necessarily. And they just need to be proper ratios, and the ratios are changing all the time. I mean, the skin is is affected by a lot of things, and it can do lots of different things to the ratios of the bacterial species that are on our skin. But the bacteria are important because they do a lot of good things. That they're part of that first line of defense. I mean, we think of the barrier of the skin protecting us as a physical barrier from invading microbes, but also certain of the bacterial species will fight and take care of those invading bacteria or viruses too, and all that. So they're part of the defense, and they can be. They also help to educate the immune system. A huge part of the immune system is on the skin, and we have certain. We think of them as white blood cells, but histiocytes, but they are in the skin, and they have projections up, but they're monitoring all the time what's going on with the skin, and the microbiome helps educate the immune system. We always talk about the GI tract and the bacterial populations of the GI tract being so important for the development and maturation and functioning of the immune system. Well, the same thing is about the immune system of the skin too. So the microbiome is really important. And so there are a lot of things that are affected. So they're different. They're different species, different parts of the body. So there are some species that kind of like that like lipids and all that, so they're kind of around the hair where the sebaceous glands are. There are some that don't do that. They're like the moist area, so they're kind of where it's more moist, so crick or armpits or whatever,
Oh,
so different species, you'll see larger colonies of different species in different parts of the body, even very close to each other. So it's really interesting how that works. But they're communicating with each other too. And they're communicating with the bacteria of the GI tract. We're going to talk about that in a different.
Well, and every time that I listen to you, when you bring something, I mean, it just things dawn on me. Like a couple videos ago, we talked about how the GI is actually external.
Yeah.
I mean, it's opening here, and then everybody else knows that other opening on the other end. But it's really external, just like the skin is. And it's funny, you say things like where it's moist. Well, that might indicate why some people need to wear some deodorant. Because that smell is probably coming from those bacteria. Is that true?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And some worse than others due to the ratio, I guess, there?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, or the amount.
Or just the amount.
I got you.
And other things are contributing to it too.
Right.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. But anyway, so they're different. And so then we tend to see some of the fungal species down on the feet. That's where we talk about athlete's foot and all that. So, or around the nails and all that. So just different parts of the body, different parts of the skin have different species of bacteria, but also even different, fungus versus bacteria or even viruses. So, and so the viruses that cause warts, and so sometimes the ratios aren't right, and that keep those viruses under control, and then you start having problems. So acne, for example, and so the way hormones affect things, and and people are just different. And the epigenetics, the diets that they have, and other environmental factors that affect the way genes are expressed and all that, it come into play too. But the bacterial populations factor into all that too.
Well, it's so important too. I mean, and that would explain something. I heard one time, I was actually listening to the radio, and the disc jockeys, they talk. About certain things, and one of them, they do. And one of the things that he was talking about was acne. As a child, and some people respond well to certain treatments. Others, those treatments make them worse. And what you said here makes a lot of sense, because I remember this certain disc jockey, I can't remember exactly who, probably a country and western station. I tend to listen to that a lot. But he was talking about how he had acne really bad, tried all these things, and finally a dermatologist said, I want you to just wash your face with water and nothing else. He said after he started doing that, it went away. You know what? He was probably washing off the friendly bacteria with those chemicals that helped to keep his face
And
good.
we've mentioned this before, but that brings up one of the things, and ectopic dermatitis, or atopic dermatitis rather, and which is eczema. Atopy is an allergic kind of component. And so there's the hygiene hypothesis, which I first read about 25 years ago or so. But those places on Earth where they're not as developed as we are, and they're living in conditions that aren't as clean as we are. They don't take showers every day. They got animals walking in and out of the house where they live, and they're living among sheep and their dogs and cats and cows and things like that. They hardly ever see any of those diseases. They don't see eczema. They don't see atopy, the atopic conditions and all that. And part of the deal is the hygiene hypothesis. We were designed to be exposed to these things. And we, it needs to be kind of under control. You kind of need to do something. But I'm getting more to the point where I'm not worried so much about soap. I'll rinse off with water. A lot, but
and maybe just a regular old lye soap, just old school, made with fat and.
I don't like
lye.
these soaps with the antibiotics and all that.
No.
That's a real problem. That's something. And now we see. I mean, I can't even find them anymore. I've looked for a couple of bar soaps I used to, and looking at them and not looking for them, and they don't have that anymore. I think that's good. But anyway, the point is we were designed to be exposed to these and allow our immune systems to develop and all that. And these people, they just don't get sick like we do. in developed countries, they don't have the allergic reactions, the skin conditions, and all that. And I'm not advocating that we go back to that, but I do think we need to kind of tone it down with some of the stuff we're doing. We don't need to take 3 showers a day necessarily. Sometimes we might, depending on what's going on.
Well, I mean, if you spill a bunch of diesel fuel and grease on you or something like that, you might want to get it off.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And I've been in conditions where I've taken more than 3 showers a day, but as a general rule, we're too clean.
Yeah.
We're too clean.
Well, what
sometimes.
we consider clean.
Yeah.
Because obviously these bacteria have a good thing they do. They keep us clean. They keep us from getting wounds and whatnot.
That's right. So anyway, so we need to be aware of things like that, and we need to have the right nutrition. We're going to talk the next time about nutrition, and that's going to take us into the gut skin axis, the gut axis with everything else. It's got an axis to everything else. It's got an axis, and that's where it's talking to the skin, but it's the bacterial populations and the GI populations are talking to each other too. It's really fascinating stuff, how this all works together. So anyway, but the skin microbiome is really important.
Yeah.
We need to be aware of it, need to kind of tone down some things and let a little bit more of nature take its course sometimes.
Well, and just recently, I kind of switched to, I'm gonna say switched back to more of an older formula of soap. Even in the shower, I use soap that has some lye, and it's made with the glycerin from the oils and whatnot. Just homemade soap basically. I mean, you can tell it's homemade. It's cut in squares. And it's great stuff. And I think my skin's doing well because
I think that's a great idea.
So
anyway, that's just a little smattering of information about the skin microbiome.
Well, guys, we hope that this helped you out and just might shed a little light on some things to try. Maybe the normal treatment is not working for you with your acne. Maybe you're having a little eczema, something. This brings back something I'm going to share real quick. Just this morning, I was talking with someone about eczema and how one of my family members had a situation with it, and they went to Africa on a mission trip for almost a month and came back without eczema. That is a prime example that proves what Dr. Hall has said, because he told me about it there. It's different. It's what us Americans may consider to be not as clean. But hey, is it? I don't know. He came back with a lot healthier skin.
Yes.
Hey guys. Yeah, definitely. Till next time, I'm Sean McAnally.
John Hall.
And this is For the Health of It.